Hi there, welcome to the third 10-minute moment today, and the topic of this one is about the announcement Labour could be making as soon as tomorrow about releasing hundreds of prisoners, more prisoners, from British jails. Now, this story is in the Daily Mail, and their headline is "Scores of criminals could be set to be freed by Labour in days after prison officers warn jails are about to be clogged up by sentenced rioters." Scores of criminals could be freed in the coming days if Labour triggers an emergency plan to avoid prison overcrowding at jails as more rioters are sentenced. Operation Early Dawn, the government's contingency plan that prevents suspects from being taken from police cells to court unless a prison place is available, is expected to be launched this upcoming week. The long-standing contingency measure could mean that defendants are released on bail while their court dates are delayed or adjourned at short notice. It comes after riots and violent disorder erupted across Britain in the aftermath of the fatal stabbing of 3 young girls at a dance class in Southport in July 29. A total of 460 people have appeared in magistrate courts relating to disorder by the end of Thursday, and roughly 300 have been remanded in custody. The Prison Officers Association, the POA, has said Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer's government is likely to trigger an emergency plan at some point next week. Mark Fairhurst, the national chairman of POA, told BBC Radio 4's Broadcasting House on Sunday that an announcement could come as early as tomorrow morning, but warned the measures risk clogging up police cells. Mr Fairhurst said, "This is all a result of the rioters last week. We had the biggest influx of new recipients I've seen for quite some time. We had 397 new recipients, but as of Friday, we only had 340 spaces left in the adult closed male estate, which is feeling the most pressure. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point tomorrow morning the Minister of Justice would announce that Operation Early Dawn kicks into play at some point next week, probably Tuesday onwards." Mr Fairhurst said the move would put pressure on police forces. He added, "You're now clogging up police cells, so they haven't got the power to arrest people and put them away in a police cell. It's a massive knock-on effect on the entire criminal justice system." Mr Fairhurst warned pressure on the prison system is really tight, and offenders in the most pressured regions face sentences far from home. He said the pinch points at the moment are the North East and the North West. So it's likely if you commit an offence in those areas, you'll be carted 100-200 miles away from home to serve your sentence because there's simply very few spaces. Last month, the Ministry of Justice said violence and self-harm in prison had risen to unacceptable levels as overcrowding pushed jails to the point of collapse. Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood announced plans to cut the proportion of sentenced inmates must serve behind bars from 50% to 40%. The temporary move, which does not apply to those convicted of sex offences, terrorism, domestic abuse or some violent offences, is expected to result in 5,500 offenders being released in September and October. Last Monday, the government confirmed those involved in recent unrest will not be excluded from its plans to release some inmates from jail early. MPs have already approved a law allowing the plan to be put into action, and any changes could require updating the legislation in a short space of time if additional exemptions were to be included. Operation Early Dawn was previously triggered by the Conservative government in May in a bid to tackle overcrowding in jails. The Ministry of Justice has been approached for comment, and the fact that they've no comment tell you that they never get back to the Daily Mail. So what we're seeing now is this influx of people into the system. Now, people that commit bad crimes should be given jail sentences. I'm not arguing that at all. And people that go out in the streets and riot, if they commit bad offences, then they should be tried, found guilty and sentenced to probably a custodial sentence. But what we've seen in the UK over the last couple of weeks, it's no criminals out causing riots. There are some of them, but the numbers are swelling because we've seen on videos, particularly things like the woman at 72 been arrested for standing in a street. We've heard of arrests and successful charges against people who happen to be witnessing rioters and riotous behaviour. We've seen many people arrested and taken to court for offences such as retweeting things on social media. So the problem isn't just because of the rioters, as somebody quoted in this story saying that, so that it's down to the rioters. It's down to how people have been arrested. And I don't think that arresting women, and 72 women in particular, 72-year-old women in particular, standing in Downing Street while a protest is going on, and actually quite a calm time in that protest, is particularly healthy. We've also seen videos where people have been standing in the street protesting but doing nothing, saying nothing, throwing nothing, and hordes of police officers instructed to go in and grab anybody. I've seen videos of the footage myself on social media, and many of us will. And these types of arrests are the problems. These are the ones that are causing the police cells, and in turn the jail cells, to be clogged up. And because of that, what we have to see now is people who have committed crimes, instead of having to serve at least half of the sentence before they're even able to look to get released early, we're going to reduce that to 40%. I don't think that's particularly good either. I think people that have got long jail sentences have got them for a reason. So to give them half time off for good behaviour has been the case for a long time. To reduce that down to 40%, that doesn't make sense to me either. What I think would be a good idea is to not have a two-tier policing, and not have a two-tier judiciary, and not have a two-tier Home Office, who still, despite I've done a video about it earlier, I'll tag it in at the end, about a week ago, I highlighted that the people in the UK were told to stop sharing videos of rioters. And the Home Office in the next 24 hours shared 3, which showed 3 or 4 instances of riotous behaviour in each one. So they showed about a dozen examples. And the dozen examples they showed were all white people, which I thought was strange, seeing as there was other things going on in the country at the time. And they also, in that same 24 hours, retweeted a load of things from police accounts, showing people being arrested and their doors kicked in, and people's snapshots of them standing, when they get into jail to get processed. Guess what? They were all white as well. And I find this pretty bizarre. And I'm not saying white people don't commit crimes, of course they do. But it's not only white people that commit crimes and riotous crimes in the last 2 weeks. But that's the ones the Home Office seem to want to exploit, which I think is a bit of a strange and peculiar way for our Home Office official Twitter account. I went through it for weeks and I cannot find anybody bar white rioters highlighted by our own Home Office, which is very, very strange. So there we go. More criminals will be getting off, and we're going to have problems now when we do take people to court, because when we jail them, if we don't have a space in our estate for male prisoners, in particular, that's where the shortage seems to be, then we will not take them to court. So anybody charged when the jails are through or full, not only can't go to court, but need to be let out on remand, despite whatever crimes they've committed, because if there's no space for them, you can't try them. That's basically what the rule says, which is a bit mad. Just build some more jails, or stop arresting people for standing in the street, or stop arresting people for witnessing riotous behaviour, because it's all mad. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please hit the subscribe and notification bell, and get involved in the comments below. So, unless you're any of these mad people that want to arrest people for silly things, it's really not unlawful. And as long as you're not one of these people that want to condemn everybody as far right when you have questions about the state of the country, see everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.